Richmond clearance. Bluestreak 5229 has information uniform requesting IFR clearance to Reagan National.
I'll grab that clearance. Give me just a minute. Bluestreak 5229, cleared to Reagan National, radar vector Zunar, then as filed, climb and maintain 4000, expect 1010 minutes after departure. Departure on 126.4, squawk 2662, expect runway 20.
Richmond International Airport clearance, Bluestreak 5229, cleared to Reagan National, radar vector Zunar, then as filed, climb and maintain 4000. Expect 11,000 10 minutes after departure. Departure frequency 126.4. Squawk 2662. Anticipate runway 20.
Bluestreak 5229, read back correct.
Okay, so we're gonna take the CRJ over from Richmond to Washington Reagan National. I will caution, I have been away from the CRJ for 4 years. Aerosoft had a Microsoft 2020 release that was okay. It wasn't anything compared to PMDG Phoenix. So once PMDG came out with their aircraft, and then later Phoenix with the Airbuses, I've only been on a Boeing, mainly a Boeing rotation really, and I only started learning Airbus this year. So being away from the CRJ for years, I'll probably make many mistakes here, but at the same time I wanted to just give it a try, since today Aerosoft released its first update to the 2020 and 2024 versions. Well, actually the second update now, because there was a lot of bugs on the initial release earlier this year. So I want to give it a try, because again, I like our hobby a lot, I like competition a lot, and I happen to like the CRJ. I get to use the CRJ a lot here in the States, out of Reagan National, which is my home airport currently. So yeah, let's see how the CRJ flies. Again, I'll make some mistakes, but I want to enjoy it, and I went ahead and integrated same tensions, and yeah, let's get started then. Richmond ground, Bluestreak 5529 at gate Alpha 8, requesting push and start.
Bluestreak 5229, push and start approved, tail south.
Push and start approved, tail south. Bluestreak 5229.
Hello, Captain. We are ready for pushback. Departure checks completed. Bypass pin inserted.
Aerosoft did a pretty good job integrating SimBrief into this aircraft, so that's definitely a nice to have for sure.
Locking gear.
I also have the FS2 Crew First Officer installed for CRJ, but I'm going to avoid using it. I want to just get refamiliarized with the checklist. And also, the voice match is not going to happen with Sane Intentions. So in Sane Intentions, I have the Stephanie from FS2 Crew, but Stephanie is available for the Airbus and for the Boeings, but currently not for the CRJ. So I want the same co-pilot speaking.
Release parking brakes, please. Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at will.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard PSA Airlines, Flight 5229, departing from Richmond to Washington. We are pleased to have you with us today. My name is Taylor, and on behalf of PSA Airlines, I would like to introduce our flight crew, Captain Luis, First Officer Stephanie, and our wonderful cabin crew members, Emily, James, Sarah, and Michael. As we prepare for departure, please ensure that your seatbelts are fastened. To fasten your seatbelt, insert the metal fitting into the buckle until you hear a click. To release, lift the buckle. In the event of a loss of cabin pressure, oxygen masks will drop down from the panel above you. Pull the mask towards you to start the flow of oxygen, place it over your nose and mouth, and secure it with the elastic band. Remember to secure your own mask before assisting others. For those of you seated near the exits, please take a moment to locate the nearest emergency exit, which may be behind you. There are 2 exits at the front of the cabin and 1 over each wing. In the unlikely event of an evacuation, please leave all luggage on board. Additionally, under your seats, you will find a life vest. To use it, pull it out of the pouch, place it over your head, and secure it around your waist. Inflate it by pulling the red
Please set
tabs
parking
or by
brake.
blowing into the tubes. We expect a flight time of approximately 35 minutes. After we reach cruising altitude, we will be offering items from the
Unlocking
PSA
gear.
Airlines shop. Thank you for your attention, and we hope you have a pleasant flight. Captain, the cabin is ready for departure.
Thank you, Taylor.
Bluestreak 5471, taxi to parking via hotel, Lima, cross runway 16, then Mike 5, Mike 10.
Left is clear. Right is clear.
Okay, while startup finishes, I'm gonna delete one yoke assignment that's interfering with my communications with the cabin crew. So let me go ahead and do it real quick. And it would be smart to remember to put the starter on idle. I forgot to do that. That's why it was taking so long to start. So again, it's been 4 years. But during the setup, things were coming back fairly quickly. Almost like riding a bicycle, I guess. I was looking at the Flight Radar 24 as far as where in the world CRJs are flying. So you will definitely get a lot of them here in the US. American, United, Delta have several of their subsidiaries flying the CRJs 700 and 900. United uses the 550, which is essentially a 700. And then when I was looking over in Europe, I saw Lufthansa and Scandinavian still with a handful of CRJs, and I know Iberia's subsidiary Air Nostrum has some CRJ 1000s, if I'm not mistaken. And I think the Ibex airline in Japan has 700s. Not too many of them left, but again, still a relatively common regional jet here in the US for the 50 to 70 seat market. There are really no more CRJ 200s that are on their way out, but at least we're going to have some 700 to 900 series for a little while more. So I want to start getting used to flying this airplane again. I happen to like it, and I'm looking forward again to seeing how much better it is now that Aerosoft has dropped an update, because I don't want to say it was unflyable, but a couple of months ago when the 2024 version came out, it wasn't the best feeling overall with the aircraft. So I kind of avoided it until they made an update. So we'll see how we do here. Richmond ground, Blue Streak 5229 requesting taxi to runway 20.
Blue Streak 5229, taxi to runway 20 via Alpha.
Runway 20 via Alpha. Blue Streak 5229.
I was also trying to remember where my taxi lights were. So again, I'm very used to Airbus and Boeing. So just trying to refamiliarize myself with everything, where everything is located. So we're gonna have a taxi light on. I think I turned the logo on. Nope, I forgot to turn the logo on. I'm sorry, not the logo. I have my beacon on already? Yeah, I did. Okay, good. I didn't want to forget my beacon. Everything else seems set. So I'm gonna go ahead and just check my warnings, because there's an APU valve open, I guess. Seatbelts. So let me see which APU buttons I need to play with here. Just bear with me as I try to remember everything here. I also want to find a better view for the overhead panel. Okay, this must be the best view for the overhead panel. So I guess valves on auto. Okay, so isolation valve closed, bleed source both engines, bleeder normal. Let's see if that gets rid of my warning. I also want to confirm my takeoff trim is going to be 8.1 and flaps 8. Okay, 8.1 trim, and we'll do a quick controls check here. Okay, so I think we're ready to taxi. I'll look at those APU warnings, well, those open warnings, and see where I shut them off. I'm not too worried about it right now. Again, I'm just trying to refamiliarize myself with the airplane. I think I need to move my, I have a Boeing flaps lever, so I need to move it several notches to get flaps 8 here. Okay, yeah, now it's on flaps 8. So let's taxi. And this is idle taxi. I want to see how much speed it picks up on idle before I apply any thrust. Just curious. I'm also using the Say Intentions AI traffic injection. So I have Say Intentions pulling my FSLTL models and my FS traffic models. And if you use FS traffic, you'll notice a few days ago they had a official 2024 update. So now it's separate for FS 2020 and for FS 2024, and it was no additional charge. And I'm also deliberately taking a very short flight from Richmond to DC. It's about 107 nautical miles with the current flight plan, because we do need to turn around for landing, so it would be even shorter if we were going to land on runway 1 in Washington, but we're going to be landing on runway 19er. But by having a very short flight, I can just refamiliarize myself with everything on the CRJ, and then as I get more comfortable with it again, I'll start doing longer flights. So I guess right now my rotation, my FS 2024 rotation is going to be PMDG 777s, I fly 737 MAX, and now the Aerosoft CRJ. And before I get back fully on Airbus, I want to wait for Phoenix to have their next FS 24 update for their Airbus series, and then I'll just have like a regular Airbus rotation with that and my Enibil's A350. Because to fly Airbus, I have to pretty much disconnect my Boeing throttles and my Boeing yoke, and connect my Airbus throttles and Airbus side stick, which is fine. It takes a few minutes to do, but I'm thinking of maybe just doing 1 month of Airbus flying, and then the next month of Boeing CRJ flying, and so forth, just to maintain familiarity with both, but also not to be plugging and unplugging hardware and moving hardware too often. So maybe once a month will be fine. So I'll see how that works. So we are almost ready for takeoff. I'm waiting to see if Say Intentions gives me a handoff to tower automatically. I think I need to get very close to the runway to get a handoff. If not, I'll just manually tune in the tower. I'm just going to go ahead and manually tune it in. I want to follow procedure and wait here. Richmond Tower, Blue Streak 5229, ready to go at runway 20.
Blue Streak 5229, Richmond International Airport Tower, runway 20, winds 220 at 14. Fly runway heading, cleared for takeoff.
Runway 20, winds 220 at 14. Fly runway heading, cleared for takeoff. Blue Streak 5229.
Cabin crew, seats for takeoff.
Okay, Captain. Cabin crew, take seats for departure.
Blue Streak 5229, contact departure on 126.4.
Switching to departure on 126.4. Blue Streak 5229. Richmond departure, Blue Streak 5229, afternoon, climbing past 1500.
Blue Streak 5229, Richmond departure, radar contact, climb and maintain 10,000, turn left heading 020, vectors to Zunar, then own navigation.
Climb and maintain 10,000, left heading 020, vectors to Zunar, then own navigation. Blue Streak 5229.
Blue Streak 5229, climb and maintain 11,000.
Climb and maintain 11,000. Blue Streak 5229.
So right now flying manual, it definitely feels a lot better than it did when I did a very short flight a couple of months ago when this FS24 version came out, because it just seems that the controls were overly sensitive. I haven't changed anything in my controls since this update came out yesterday, and now it feels a lot better. I have to make
Blue Streak
small
5229.
corrections.
Expect the CAPS 3 arrival.
Even
Expect
with
to
a
descend
big
in about
correction
15
like
minutes.
this, the airplane is not as sensitive as it was before. So
Expecting the CAPS
that's
3
pretty nice.
arrival. We'll expect to descend in about 15 minutes. Blue Streak 5229.
And let's see if I notice anything else here. I'm going to engage the autopilot in a few seconds here, but again, just trying to get a feel for manual flight and just practice maintaining speed. I'm a little bit fast right now. I should be at 250. So now I want to see how well the autopilot engages. Okay, so the autopilot is engaging, but it's sending me downward. So let me see. I'm going to make a little correction here. I have the altitude set to 11. I think I need to set V speed to get to 11.
Dear guests, we have just climbed above the safe altitude, and I am pleased to inform you that the use of electronic devices is now allowed. Please ensure that your devices are in airplane mode. We will be cruising for approximately 35 minutes, and after our meal service, we will be offering items from the PSA Airlines shop. Thank you for your attention, and enjoy the flight. Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached cruising altitude, and we will now begin our snack and drink service. Today, we have some delightful options for you, including our delicious cheese and crackers, as well as refreshing beverages. After our service, we will also have articles from the PSA Airlines shop available for purchase. Thank you for flying with us today, and we hope you enjoy your flight.
Okay, so another thing about the CRJ, it's not supposed to have an auto throttle, so I have to monitor my throttles here. So that's why I got that overspeed warning. So we're at 11,000. Let me see what I had for VNAV. So VNAV has a 290. Let me.
Envoy 35.
I want to get the bug to
climb,
290
maintain flight level
since that's what
220.
VNAV has.
Up to flight level 220, Envoy 3545.
Somebody mentioned that some CRJs have adopted auto throttle, but I actually don't mind practicing manual throttles, especially since these flights tend to be regional, relatively short flights. It's good for hands-on practice. I think we get so complacent with the technology that we forget some things here and there. I still have those APU warnings. I gotta see what I have open on my APU. Oh, the doors are open, but I gotta see where those controls are so I can close them. I mean, nothing's gonna happen if I don't close them, but I just wanna remember where everything is.
United 1359, contact Washington Center on 133.55.
Over to Washington Center on 133.55, United 1359.
Okay, so yeah, I'm overspeeding again. So I want to be at 290. Let me see how much throttle. And we actually have to get the throttle fairly low to maintain 290. And being such a short flight, I'll start prepping the descent. We should be doing the visual on the Potomac River, so I know for us who are just simmers and not real-world pilots, it can be a tricky one, but I've done it a few times with the 737. It's an approach that I really enjoy, especially when you nail the runway perfectly. So we should be able to enjoy this approach, and I'll see how I do with the CRJ. No guarantees I'll have a very smooth landing, but we'll see how it goes. So we should be at 139 on final. I'm just checking all the options here that come with the CRJ's integration with SimRief.
Delta 990, contact Washington Center on 133.55.
Switching to Washington Center on 133.55, Delta 990.
Delta 2951, contact Washington Center on 133.55.
Switching to Washington Center on 133.55, Delta 2951.
Blue Streak 5229, contact Quantico approach on 127.05.
Contacting Quantico approach on 127.05, Blue Streak 5229. Quantico approach, Blue Streak 5229, afternoon, maintaining 1000 feet.
Blue Streak 5229, Quantico approach, good afternoon, altimeter 29.85. Streak 5229, Quantico approach. Descend via Caps 3 for the RNAV Yankee runway 19er approach into Reagan. Altimeter 29er.85.
Descend via Cap 3 for the RNAV Yankee runway 19 approach. Altimeter 29er.85. Blue streak 5229.
I'm going to look at a tutorial video to remember how to turn off this 2 APU indications. Alright, so I got no smoking seat belts. I think I can descend this doing VNAV, vertical speed. So I'm going to chop the throttles.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your flight attendant speaking. We have begun our descent into Washington. Please return to your seats, stow your tray tables, and fasten your seatbelts. The use of lavatories is now not allowed. We appreciate your cooperation as we prepare for landing.
Another thing is remembering that the range for my navigation display is on the left side of me. It's not in the MCP like it is on the Airbuses and the Boeings. So yeah, so here's my zoom and then my format. Yeah, so in case I have an approach, just trying to familiarize myself with all the options here. So that's my zoom.
Captain, cabin is ready. Ladies and
Thank
gentlemen,
you.
Delta
we are now
376
on our
contact
final
Washington Center on
approach into Washington.
135.525.
Please turn off your electronic devices and
Switching to Washington Center on 135.525 in Delta 376.
Ensure your seats are in their full upright position and fasten your seat belts. Once we land, the PSA Airlines staff will provide you with information regarding your connecting flights. Thank you for your cooperation. You're welcome, Captain. Ladies and gentlemen, we are currently on our final approach into Washington. Please ensure that your seatbelts are fastened and your seat backs are in the upright position. Thank you for your cooperation.
So the airport right now is at my 1 o'clock. So we're going to be making somewhat of a U-turn because we're going to follow the river's path to get to the runway. For those of you who are not from here in the DC area, we have to follow the river on approach and landing so as not to overfly the Pentagon, the White House, the Washington Monuments. So it's a safety and security measure by the US government. Makes a lot of sense. But when you are coming from the south or take off to the south, you follow the river, but it's pretty much a straight line into runway 01. The CRJs are also allowed to land on runway 33. I'm trying to think if runway 04 is used. I haven't seen it used much, but I know some of the smaller airplanes can also use runway 04.
Contact Potomac approach on 119er.85.
Switching to Potomac approach on 119er.85. Blue streak 5229. Potomac approach, Blue streak 5229. Afternoon, descending past 8,000.
Blue Streak 5229, Potomac approach, good afternoon, Reagan, altimeter 29er.83.
Okay, we're going to switch to 2983 on altimeter. And I think altimeter is also here. Yep.
Blue Streak 5229, Potomac approach, descend and maintain 3700, turn left, heading 345 vectors for the RNAV runway 19er approach.
Descend and maintain 3700. Left heading 345 for the RNAV runway 19 approach. Blue streak 5229.
American 1445, contact.
So we're getting an RNAV approach
135.525.
instruction, but I'm gonna make it visual. It's
Center on
very nice. It's a very nice day here. I'm actually looking at my window, so that's why my track IR might flicker a few times. I was looking at my window just to compare the current weather. So right now, summertime in DC, sunny in the morning, and some clouds are coming in the afternoon, and usually a late afternoon, early evening thunderstorms here and there. Very hot, very humid. So very typical. Yeah, but the weather depiction here pretty much matches what I'm seeing from my window right now. But excellent visual conditions. And I'm also gonna disengage the autopilot. It's gonna make a bit of an S-turn here just to lose some altitude because I want to be at 2700 by the time I get to Barrick. So I'm gonna make an S-turn, and then I'll just follow the path via the river. I'll make it as visual as possible. I just need to keep my eyes on my speed, follow my flap schedule accordingly, obviously lower my gear. I don't have a active co-pilot right now, and I think I got a little bit spoiled by that with FS2 crew on the 777 side and iFlight 737 side, so it's gonna be mostly me, and I'm gonna do this for a while with the CRJ until I get fully refamiliarized with the airplane. It's just been I can tell it's been a while, but again, I'm really enjoying the way it flies now, especially manually during takeoff and manually right now. No complaints. It's really enjoyable to fly like this. So I'm gonna stop talking until we're on the ground. So I'm gonna again follow the track in the river, and let's see how well I do the river approach. So hopefully we'll be safe on the ground, and we'll talk again there.
Blue streak 5229, proceed direct Derrick. Cleared for the RNAV runway 19 approach. Speed below 180 knots until established.
Proceeding direct Derrick. Cleared for the RNAV runway 19 approach. Speed below 180 knots until established. Blue streak 5229 foul.
Blue streak 5229, contact Reagan Tower on 119.1.
Contacting Reagan Tower on 119.1, Blue streak 5229.
Terrain.
Reagan Tower, Blue streak 5229. Good afternoon. We're established on the RNAV approach for runway 19er.
Blue streak 5229, Reagan Tower, winds 170 at 10. Runway 19er, cleared to land.
Runway 19, clear to land, Blue streak 5229.
Sync rate. Terrain. Pull up. Terrain. 1,000. 10.
Blue Streak 5229, welcome to Reagan. Contact ground on 121.7.
Switching to ground on 121.7, Blue Streak 5229. Reagan ground, Blue Streak 5229. Afternoon, we're clear of runway 19er and ready to taxi to the gate.
Blue Streak 5229, Reagan ground, taxi to A5 via Juliet Foxtrot Kilo. Good day.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to
Taxi
Washington,
to Alpha 5 via
Reagan
Juliet,
National,
Foxtrot
Airport.
Kilo, Blue Streak 5229.
The local time here is 1:58 p.m. Thank you for flying with PSA Airlines today. We hope you enjoyed your flight. Did you know that Washington, D.C. is home to the largest library in the world, the Library of Congress? Also, the city has more than 70 museums, many of which are free to visit. Please remain seated with your seatbelts fastened until we have reached our final parking position. On behalf of Captain Luis, First Officer Stephanie, and the entire crew, we wish you a wonderful day ahead.
Okay, so that was a river visual. Nice conditions today. You notice that I tried to tilt my head to the left a few times so you could see some of the Washington D.C. landmarks during approach.
American 927, push and start approved.
I really enjoyed flying it by hand. Again, I did like a very quick flight a few months ago when the initial 2004 release came out for FS 2004 release came out for the CRJ, and I just found it very difficult to control, overly sensitive, very frustrating. So I only did maybe the beginning of a flight, but I just gave up on it and waited till this update dropped. And I can tell you, hand flying the aircraft is very enjoyable. I didn't have the smoothest of approaches. I probably porpoised a little bit, just trying to get the right descent rate. But again, I'm just refamiliarizing myself with the aircraft. So I just intend to get better and better at this since I've been so used to just flying Boeing and some Airbus. So yeah, we'll do a few more flights with this aircraft. We're gonna go ahead and park in the E-gates where American Eagle parks its CRJs and its Embraers. And we'll stop there. But I really enjoyed this flight. And flying the aircraft manually again, very enjoyable. So I like the fact that this aircraft has less automation reliance if you compare it to Boeing and especially to Airbus. So it's good practice for manual flying skills for sure. And for those of you who are not from the area here, you can see how close the landmarks are to the airport. So there's Washington Monument, Jefferson Memorial. This is the city of Rosslyn back there. And just behind the trees and past US 1 and the beltway is the Pentagon. So that's why we have to follow that river pattern so we don't overfly any of these buildings.
JetBlue 2254, cleared for push and start.
And let me see how, this is also a good opportunity to see how say Intentions is handling the traffic. The traffic injection is very good, except that these are large, well, not this large, but these narrow bodies, Boeing and Airbus narrow bodies, they should not be in the E-gates. The E-gates are only for the CRJs, and some of the Embraer 175s also use them. But it's mostly for the CRJs. But again, this say Intentions traffic injection is on experimental mode. And I have very few complaints. I think just getting the aircraft to park properly might also be an AFCAT issue, and it might not even be the fault of the traffic injection itself. I'm going to go ahead and choose
JetBlue 2254, taxi to runway 19er via Kilo 1 Juliet.
19er via Kilo 1 Juliet, JetBlue 2254. United 1581, ready for pushback.
United 1581, cleared for push and start.
You see those thunderstorms forming here in the sim? I'm looking out my window and I see the same clouds to the west of me. So again, this live weather from Flight Sim is pretty good. It's very accurate. Oh, I did have a chance to turn my weather radar on. I just never turned it on. I got used to keeping it off with the iFly. I know PMDG does use the Asobo weather radar returns. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Yeah, before well, okay, I can shut the engines down, but before I finish the flight, the overall flight, I want to see what the weather radar returns look like with the storms that we're having right now. So let me see. How did we? Oh yeah, we just need to go to WX here, right? Whiskey X-ray. And that should provide our, yeah, okay, you can see the little teal line. It's going to be spinning around. That's how you're going to get your weather return. It's going to be, if I recall correctly, not the fanciest of weather returns, because again, Asobo has some very basic weather, but I think the community convinced folks like PMDG and INI builds to just adopt the Asobo weather returns. And it's a good placeholder until Asobo is more flexible with developers and provides a real 3D weather return, a more realistic
19er via Kilo Golf Juliet, United 1581.
So I'm gonna see if we get any returns. Maybe also, since we're on the ground already, we might not see any weather returns here. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and request deboarding. Cabin crew, disarm slides.
Okay, Captain. Disarming slides now. Dear passengers, we have reached our final parking position. Captain Luis and the cabin crew are now saying goodbye. We wish you a nice stay here in Washington or safe ongoing travel.
Another thing I'm really not used to with Boeing and Airbus is just having to arm and disarm reversers. Okay, spoilers were on auto, I think, already. Yeah, that's a good way to use the spoilers, I suppose. And then I need to turn off some things in the overhead panel. Well, and let me turn off the weather as well. I was trying to see if I put the weather on test, do we see some colors? Okay, there are some colors if I put it on test. So in theory it's supposed to work. And if I'm not mistaken, was my TCAS supposed to be auto? Because that's another thing I've been taking for granted. Okay, so we're now we got traffic on, TCAS above. We can put TCAS on normal. TCAS normal, mode auto, traffic on. Okay, another thing I just need to remember. Different locations for some controls. I'll turn the weather radar off. And let's see if I remember what to turn off here. I need to turn off the fuel pumps. I'll keep the AC on. I think I can connect outside air conditioning and outside ground power. Window heat can be off as well. Probes off. And again, as I get used to this, I'll get used to. I'll remember what to turn on and off when the airplane is at the gate. Beacon off as well. Nav on. Taxi and landing lights are off. ELT can be off in the ground, I suppose. Yeah, I think the ELT just needs to be on arm the whole time. I only turn it on if I actually want it to be located, or if something happens to the aircraft, and then the ELT automatically comes off. Emergency lights, I guess we can leave them on. They're armed right now, so we can leave them on off here on the ground. APU is running. The valves are open. I think while we're parked, we just need the APU bleed, right? And let's see what else. I think that's it. So yeah, to summarize, we did a very quick flight, and again, this is really my full reacquaintance with the CRJ after 4 years. But I can tell Aerosoft did put some effort into this second, into this best way to word it. So the initial Flight Sim 24 compatible version came out a few months ago, and it needed a lot of work. And some of the folks who are familiar with real world flying, some of the real world pilots who were making YouTube videos on the CRJ, noticed some similar things. So this update came out yesterday. So yesterday was July 1st, or no, just yesterday was June 30th. So on June 30th, they had an update. And again, I just flew it. I try to do a lot of manual during departure and during arrival, and I really enjoy flying the aircraft. And it's just a question of me remembering where everything is and understanding the procedures with the aircraft, or the switch locations are very different from the Airbus and Boeing that I've gotten used to over the past 3+ years. So yeah, I definitely recommend it if you haven't bought it yet. But if you want to do some regional flying, especially in the US where you can still see these birds, definitely go with the Aerosoft CRJ. So we're gonna finish out with an outside view here in DC. And it looks like the GSX crew is struggling with the DirectX 12 coloring, so it looks like a Squid Game uniform, all that pink, but that's fine. So yeah, that's the CRJ initial overview. So we'll see you next time.